guys, and welcome back to Reading Club. So today I'm going to read you Daisy and the Trouble with Giants, Chapter 6 to Chapter 10. Chapter 6. After we'd eaten our chocolate skyscrapers, we were still hungry, so we decided we'd cook a giant omelet. The trouble with giant omelets is you need 3 zillion eggs to cook one. For our recipe, we needed 100 lorries of milk and 10 shops of butter too. But luckily, we'd been shopping, so we had everything we needed in our giant fridge. You should have seen the size of the bowl we used to mix everything up in. It was bigger than a football stadium, and you should have seen the size of the spoons we used for whisking. Gabby's wooden spoon was 80 tree trunks long, and mine was 81. But I didn't tell her. The trouble with making a giant omelet is all that giant whisking makes you really thirsty. So after every 3 whisks, I drank a swimming pool of lemonade, and Gabby drank a swimming pool of cherry Coke. It was Gabby who did a giant burp first, though, not me. I said she shouldn't do giant burps because her mom and dad might hear us and come and tell us off. But they didn't hear us, so I did some giant burps too. Gabby did thunder burps, which are really loud. I did volcano burps, which are even louder. But the trouble with volcano burps is mine started an earthquake above the clouds. Everything in our magic castle started to shake, including me and Gabby. I shook all the way out of the castle kitchen, past the giant omelet bowl, out of the front door, and nearly into the dungeon. Gabby shook all the way past the giant fridge, bumped into the omelet bowl, tipped it over, and accidentally covered herself in giant omelet mixture, which meant she looked like a giant omelet herself. Fee, fi, fo, fum, she said in a merry the massive voice. I am a massive omelet, yum, yum, yum. Then she started walking around the magic castle doing giant omelet noises. So then I tried to eat her. The trouble with trying to eat a giant omelet with legs is they never let you catch them. I chased Gabby out of the castle, down the hallway, through her mom and dad's bedroom, down the stairs, and right the way into the lounge. I chased her twice around the settee and 3 times around the armchairs, but still couldn't catch her, until she tripped over the wastepaper bin and nearly hit her head on the telly. That's when her mom told us it was time for lunch. Chapter 7. The trouble with magic baked beans on toast is there's no such thing. Gabby's mom and dad said there might be, but they don't really understand about giants or magic beans. A magic bean would never work if it was covered in tomato sauce. When I was having baked beans on toast at Gabby's, her dad said the magic bean in Jack and the Beanstalk might have been a baked bean, but I know it definitely wasn't. The magic bean in Jack and the Beanstalk was bigger and shinier. Mrs. Peters showed us a picture of it in class. I really wish there was such a thing as magic baked beans. Then I wouldn't have gotten into trouble at Nanny and Grampy's today. Mom could have just gone to the supermarket this morning and bought me a whole tin full of magic baked beans. Then I could have washed the tomato sauce off and grown as many magic beanstalks as I wanted. Gabby told her dad to stop being silly about magic baked beans or we will both put a giant spell on him. Gabby's mom asked if we could turn him into a handsome prince, but we said no, we would turn him into something much more horrible. Gabby wanted to turn him into a giant slug, but I said we should turn him into a giant pea. Then roll him down a mountain or off a cliff. Gabby's dad left the table after that. The trouble with Gabby's mom is she doesn't know anything about giants either. Then we asked her if she'd ever heard of a lady giant. She said she hadn't, but she was sure they must be out there somewhere. She said there must be lady giants, otherwise all the man giants wouldn't have any clothes to wear. The trouble with giants' clothes is they are absolutely huge. Their socks are about 20 meters long, Their vests are about the size of 100 bed covers, and their shirts are big enough to cover a whole town. Gabby's mom said it would probably take her 2 weeks to iron one pair of Giant's trousers. 3 weeks if he wanted a crease in both legs. I said I didn't think lady giants did ironing. If giants have got magic harps that sing to them and hens that lay golden eggs for them, then they're bound to have magic ironing boards that do all their ironing for them too. Gabby's mom said if we ever got to meet a lady giant, could we ask her if she could borrow her magic ironing board once a week? And if she had a magic tea towel, could she borrow that too? We said we'd ask, but the trouble with lady giants is they're even harder to meet than man giants, especially if you haven't got a magic bean. Chapter 8. The trouble with not having a magic bean is it's impossible to grow a magic beanstalk if you haven't got one. If you haven't got a magic beanstalk, then you'll never get all the way up into the clouds. If you can't get all the way up to the clouds, then you'll never get to see a real giant's castle. When Gabby and me went into the garden after our baked beans and toast, we could see the clouds high up in the sky above us, but we couldn't get anywhere near high enough to see through them. I got my eyes up to the top of Gabby's fence, but Gabby's legs started to wobble, so she had to put me down. Gabby said there was only one thing for it. We would have to find a magic bean of our own. So we stopped playing giants for a while and went on a magic bean hunt. The trouble with looking for magic beans is you should really have a cow with you. If you have a cow with you, like in Jack and the Beanstalk, then old ladies will just come straight up to you and say, "Hey, that's a nice cow you've got there. Would you like to swap it for some magic beans?" First of all, we checked the flower beds for cows, but there weren't any. Then we looked in the bushes for old ladies, but there weren't any of those either. The only thing that was old in Gabby's garden was some moldy birdseed hanging from a wire thing in our tree. Gabby said that in winter her mom puts nice new birdseed in the wire thing so the birds can get something to eat when it's snowing. Trouble is, the birds can't get their beaks right down to the bottom of the wire thing, so some of the birdseed goes moldy. That's the trouble with birds' beaks. They aren't long enough in winter. Once we hadn't found any cows or old ladies, we looked for farmers, because farmers sometimes have cows and an old farmer might know an old lady. But the trouble with looking for young or old farmers in Gabby's back garden is it needs to be a farm, really. Farms have loads of farmers and loads of cows. Gabby's garden doesn't. Gabby's garden doesn't even have a small cat like Tiptoes. There's grass in Gabby's back garden, and I'm sure cows would really like it if they knew where it was, but Gabby's garden doesn't have a back gate either. So even if the cows knew where Gabby's grass was, they'd never be able to get it. Neither would old ladies with magic beans, unless they came in through the front door of Gabby's house like I did. But I don't think Gabby's mom and dad would like that, especially the cows. Gabby said there might be some magic beans in her dad's shed, but there was only a dartboard and a lawnmower, and neither of them were magic. There were no magic beans under the sun lounger, no magic beans in the watering can, no magic beans in the flower pots, none in the flower beds, none on the patio, none on the window ledges, none near the fish pond, and none anywhere else in Gabby's garden. It was so frustrating. We really wanted to find a magic bean, but we couldn't find one anywhere, so we went back to pretending to be giants instead. Chapter 9. The trouble with playing giants outside in the garden is you're not allowed to use Gabby's pillows. Gabby's mom said Gabby's pillows belonged on our bed, and we weren't allowed to put them on the lawn because we would make them dirty. So we had to put them back. The trouble with putting pillows back is it means you don't have any white fluffy clouds. Gabby's mom said we could use sun lounger cushions as clouds if we wanted to. But Gabby's sun lounger cushions are green with swirly flowers on, so they didn't look very good. Then Gabby had a brilliant idea. Instead of pretending we were giants living in a castle high up in the sky, we could pretend we had come down the beanstalk and were giants living on the ground. So we did. I came down the beanstalk first because I was the best climber downer. But I didn't tell Gabby, and Gabby came down next. When we took it in turns, to think of giant things to do. First of all, we went shopping. If you're going shopping and you've got giant legs, you can step over anything. Gabby stepped straight over her garden fence and marched all the way down the road to the shopping precinct. Because my legs were slightly longer, it meant I could step right over at Gabby's house. So I did. Then I marched all the way down the road to the shopping precinct. It was brilliant. Plus, I got there just before Gabby did too. The shopping precinct is where our moms go to do the shopping. But we didn't take our moms because they're too teensy. The trouble with being a teensy mom is you might get trodden on just like that. I wouldn't want to squash my mom, even if she did tell me off at Nanny and Granby's today. So we went to the shops on our own. The first place we went shopping in the shopping precinct was the toy shop. You should have seen all the teensy people's faces when we bent down and pulled the roof off the toy shop straight off. They weren't scared because we had nice lipstick on, but they were really surprised. Everyone pointed up at us and said, "Wow, look at those beautiful giants. They're enormous." Then the toy shop owner came out and said, "Can I help you, beautiful giants?" "Yes," said Wendy the Whooping, which was Gabby's new pretend giant's name. "Yes, you can help us, Mr. Toy Shop Owner. We would like to buy all of your toys." "All of them?" said the toy shop owner. "Yes," said Wendy, "all of them, and here's enough gold bananas to pay for them." Then we scooped all the toys in the shop into a giant carrier bag and went down the road to somewhere else. "Fee, fi, fo, fum," I said in a really loud giant voice. "I want to buy some bubble gum." You should have seen everyone's faces when we lifted the roof off the sweet shop. All the teensy children inside hid behind the sweet shop counter when they saw us, but then they realized we were friendly, so they came out. "How much bubble gum do you want?" asked the sweet shop owner. "All of it." I said. "All of it?" He said. "Yes, all of it." I said. "And all of your chocolate," said Wendy the Whopping. "And all of your dib-dab," said Hannah the Highest, which was me, because I changed my name as well. "In fact, Mr. Sweet Shop Owner," I said, "give us all of your sweets." All the teensy-weensy children in the sweet shop groaned, and the sweet shop owner fell down on his knees. "But how will you pay me?" he cried. "In golden bananas," I shouted, "in golden bananas and whooping golden dolly's tears." "But we won't have any sweets if you eat them all," said the teensy children. "Please leave some sweets for us." When we looked down, we realized that some of the teensy children were our friends from school. So, because we were really kind giants as well as beautiful ones, we gave a free bag of sweets to all the children in the shop. Apart from Jack Beatrizzle, I picked Jack Beatrizzle up by his ear and threw him 100 miles into the air, right through the clouds, right into our castle, and right into our dungeon. "Where shall we go next, Hannah the Highest?" said Wendy the Whooping. "Highest, not highish," I roared. "Next, we will go to the swimming pool." Chapter 10. The trouble with swimming pools is the doors are nowhere near big enough for a giant to get in. So we had to pull the roof off that too. You should have seen everyone's faces when we looked down on all the teensy swimmers. They all went, "Wow." and then they started to shiver. Not because they were frightened, but because they were getting cold. That's the trouble with giants pulling the roof off swimming pools. All the people inside get goosebumps. "Put the roof back on, please," shivered all the teensy swimmers. "It's freezing in here." "I'm afraid we can't," I shouted back. "If we don't take the roof off the swimming pool, we can't come in for a paddle." And then everyone screamed and got out of the swimming pool fast. First, Wendy the Whooping took her tights off, and then Hannah the Highest took her socks off. Then we hung them over the top diving board to stop them from getting wet. Then we got in. And guess what? The deep end only came up to our ankles. Once all the teensy swimmers realized that we were really kind giants, they got back into the pool. Liberty Pierce did handstands off my fingernail into the water, and Dylan did 100-meter dive bombs off Wendy the Whooping's shoulders. It was brilliant. When we left the swimming pool, all the children really thanked us. Plus, then we put the roof back on so they didn't get goosebumps anymore. Wendy the Whooping said it was a good job she hadn't got thirsty, or she might have had to drink the swimming pool water instead of paddling in it. I said that wasn't a very good idea. The trouble with drinking swimming pool water is someone might have weed in it. My mom says some children wee in swimming pools without anyone knowing. She said some swimming pools can get invisible wee germs in them, and that you have to be really careful not to let the water go in your mouth when you're swimming. Wendy the Whooping said giants are far too giant to be got by a teensy weensy wee germ. But if my mom says germs don't care if you're big or small. But my mom says germs don't care if you're big or small. If you let them get inside you, they will get you big time. That's why you must always keep your mouth shut when you're swimming. After our giant paddle, me and Wendy the Whooping went for a rest. The trouble with giants resting is you should have seen everyone's faces when we lay down in the park. Wendy the Whooping's body stretched from the boating lake right across to the swings on the other side of the park. My body stretched from the boating lake right across to the slide, which is just a bit farther than the swings. The trouble with giants being so big when you lie down in the park, it means the park keeper can't mow the grass properly, which means he either has to go over you or around you. The park keeper in our park went over us, which really tickled our tummies. The trouble with ticklish giants is if they laugh too loud, anything can happen. Buildings can fall down, the church steeple can fall off, all the leaves can fall off the trees, and all the squirrels will fall off their branches. That's exactly what happened in our park. Plus, the park keeper's false teeth fell out. So we had to get up and go somewhere else because he was really cross. Wendy the Whooping said the cinema would be a good place to go. But I said when we pulled the roof off, all the light would get in and we wouldn't be able to see the film. That's the trouble with films at the cinema. We have to watch them in the dark. So I said, let's go somewhere we've never been before. Let's go somewhere really different. Follow me, I said, to the Car Crushers. That's the end of this channel. If you liked it, please click many likes and subscribe Reading Club. I'll come back later with a new and improved channel. Bye, everybody.